Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. Today we are going to be taking a look at NASCAR Authentics Wave 8 for 2021. Honestly, another very solid wave. There's very few repeats in this wave, and one of the repeats is very special for a reason we'll get to later. Why don't we just hop right into the wave and start out with the Chase Elliott car of the wave. We have Chase Elliott's UniFirst Chevy for 2021. His brand new UniFirst paint scheme. Well, it's sort of brand new. It's basically, the all-star car here. They just kind of, took the all-star design that was different from the regular UniFirst car and turned into the regular UniFirst car, which honestly does look a lot better than that UniFirst car from last year. And I've never been a huge fan of the UniFirst cars. This color scheme I like better with, Money Lion, with, the white and, the teal. But the UniFirst cars this is definitely one of the better ones, but they've never really, done much for me. But, of course, we have to get every special Chase Elliott car in the Authentics one way or another. So, of course, this is in here. Next up, we've got Alex Bowman's Ally Best Friend Chevy for 2021. He raced this at the first Phoenix race. One interesting thing to point out about this diecast is for some reason it has cheat trim. If you can see, it's blacked out around the edge of the tire and then the black fender. The real car doesn't even have that. I was so confused. I saw this diecast and I was like, wait, did the real car have cheat trim? And then I looked at a photo and there is no cheat trim on the real car. I'm also glad they finally put this on a diecast that obvious so I can finally tell you what cheat trim is, because there's still people to this day that are like, what's cheat trim? What are you talking about cheat trim? That's cheat trim. Back in 2018, they started blacking out the wheel wells back here. It was usually the corners of the fenders too. Some people blacked out the whole side skirt and even the front fender. But I said they kind of stopped that because NASCAR finally changed how they, inspect the cars, so whatever they were doing with that became obsolete, which I was happy because it made cars look really stupid like this, like a bright colorful car with just a random black line around the bottom. So I really have no idea what happened there, why it's on the render, or why it was on the artwork but not on the actual car. They usually don't even put them on the artwork. Cool paint scheme otherwise. The purple fade to the orange was definitely a very unique car. Alex Bowman had some pretty cool paint schemes this year with Ally. I think most of them got produced. Well, they couldn't produce that one that was a soccer league or whatever, but... Next up, we've got Ross Chastain's McDonald's car. One of the ugliest McDonald's cars we've ever gotten. Man, what happened here? How do you go from that, McDelivery car from the last couple years to this? A plain red car with a cutoff M? The plain red car can work fine, like it did with the throwback. When they ran the throwback, that worked perfectly as a solid red car. That one looked good. This one just looks messy because there's no text or anything, just big M's. One that's cut off on the bottom there, one that's cut off back here, cut off on the roof. I feel like there's something I'm missing with the cutoff M because back when they first unveiled these paint schemes, they even changed their Twitter, their profile picture. It was even the banner or something they changed and it had the cutoff M on it. So I don't know if that's some inside joke or something. If somebody knows what the purpose is, please tell me because I don't get it. But I was still going to buy the 124 of this just because I love Ross Chastain and his McDonald's. I'm glad he was sponsored by McDonald's, but as of right now, we're only getting the 124 of his throwback. This one got canceled, and then they didn't offer that amazing-looking car for the rewards that he ran later in the season. Really disappointed they never offered that diecast. I would have gladly bought that one. Ross Chastain's getting about, 124, 42 diecast this year? Yeah, the Clover, you've got the McDonald's throwback, you have the, Caregility, Cartel, whatever, and then you had the Moose car somehow got made. Can't wait to see what his paint schemes look like at Trackhouse next year. Hopefully some of his sponsors stay with him. I mean, I really hope that McDonald's and Clover and stuff follows him over there. I don't see why they wouldn't. I hope McDonald's doesn't just go specifically to Bubba and stop sponsoring Chastain, because that would be a very disappointing move to me. But next up, we got one of the most popular paint schemes of the season. We got Eric Jones' Tide Food City ride from the Bristol Dirt Race. This one looks fantastic. It's got that classic Tide paint scheme with the bright Tide colors mixed in with splashes of petty blue. I remember back when this first got unveiled, most of us were like, oh, it's a Tide car, it's not going to get offered. And then a day later, Lionel puts it up, and we're like, oh, okay, awesome. I will probably buy the 124 of this, to be honest. It's just such a cool paint scheme. I would say I could do without the blue roof. The petty blue roof just seems very random. Then the splashes of blue around the bottom work fine, but I don't know why they made the roof blue as well. I guess the reason they could offer this is because it's just Tide, not Tide Pods. I don't know. But definitely a fantastic choice for Authentics. I'm sure this car will fly off the pegs. Next up, we've got a Trackhouse ride. We've got Daniel Suarez Camping World Chevy for 2021. This basically turned into his primary. Camping World came in, bought so many races that even kicked out some of those other sponsors that he had for the season. He had that, like, what was it, like Pump It Up and K1 and all those other sponsors that they unveiled cars for early in the season that never actually ran. Good for me, I get more Never Was Wednesday posts, but pretty solid paint scheme. This was designed by, what, Kyle Sykes, I think. I'll say for some reason on this diecast, it seems like the yellow's a little bit too dull to me. I don't know if that's just me or not, but it seems like it's a little bit too light of a shade of yellow. I feel like it should be more bright yellow, but I don't know. Always good to get Camping World. Like I said, that guy, the CEO of Camping World is just amazing. Like, he just pours so much money into the sport. Sponsors the whole series, kept sponsoring random trucks that run sponsored throughout the season, sponsored Suarez for like over half the year. He really cares about racing, and I love to see it. Next up, we've got Ryan Blaney's Advanced Auto Parts Ford. The not very exciting repeat. So remember, we did, of course, get this car last year in Authentics in 2020 Wave 4, but you can see it is, you know, basically the same car. There's really not much different. The spoiler is now yellow. Renard is on the back instead of in front of the wheel. NASCAR Cup Series logo is no longer lined up with the NASCAR race car logo, but other than that, it's basically the same car. It's a nice paint scheme. This is definitely one of the better looking scallop cars. It's like a perfect reverse of Logano's shell car. I still really don't understand the purpose of the, you know, scallop design cutting off at the front like that. Like, I don't know if there's a reason they did that, if it was to differentiate it from the shell car or what, but one of Blaney's better paint schemes, so it's no surprise we got it again. I am so mad that his same-day shipping car DNP'd, the one that was supposed to be colored like the Miller Genuine Draft Rusty Wallace paint scheme. I think that they halfway called it like a tribute or a throwback. I think that turned people off of it, but like, it was a cool-looking car. One of the best-looking scallop cars. The black with the yellow and the red just looked fantastic. Usually Blaney doesn't have things DNP, so that shocked me when that's DNP'd. Maybe we'll get lucky, it'll still pop up in Authentics or something, I don't know. But that really disappointed me. Next up, we got one of the more unique Penske cars for the season. We've got Austin Cindric's Cup debut Daytona 500 Verizon car. Boy, is it good to have Verizon back in the sport. Cindric raced this paint scheme. Brad Keselowski raced this paint scheme. Joey Logano raced this paint scheme. For some reason, they didn't offer Brad or Joey's. I'm probably going to have to get a custom of Joey's made because I just love this paint scheme. And so far, the only way to get a 124 of this is going to be his Xfinity Daytona win, since this one got canceled in 124. Once again, like the Blaney, that really disappointed me. Like, I was so happy to get... It was going to be such a cool set to have his Xfinity Daytona win and then his Cup Daytona 500 debut car. That was going to make such a cool set with the matching paint schemes and sponsors and everything. Like, I'm surprised Penske didn't try to get this made at Verizon. You know, they're back in the sport. You'd think they'd want to get their diecast made. Or maybe they just decided they want the win made more than this. I don't know. Just a beautiful paint scheme. It's so simple, but works so well. The matte black with the bright red and white. Top it off with the white rims. Just looks beautiful. Funny thing enough, this does actually have the roof hatch, which they don't usually put on the clean diecast very often. That's pretty cool. But at least this gets, you know, immortalized in Authentics. I'm disappointed he got no 124-33 cars because I love some of these, like, random team numbers and stuff that don't really get used very often. Like, Penske has never ran a 33 car. People were, you know, expecting like maybe a 0-2 or something this year to come back when Cindric was going to do some cup races, but I don't think anyone expected 33. But luckily it got immortalized in some way, shape, or form. Next up, we have one of the more disappointing choices of the wave. We've got Martin Truex Jr.'s Stanley Tools Toyota. He raced this at the first of the Pocono doubleheader races. Did not race it at the second. It changed to something else. I said, nobody seems to like these Stanley cars, and yet they've doubled down on them in Authentics. I mean, at this point, you got to give us bells now. Like, come on. Like, you got to have the trio of the Stanley cars. You can't just give us 2 out of 3. I don't like this paint scheme at all, but at this point, I kind of want the set of them at this point if you're going to give us them. The color's still off. It's still a little too dark, but the funny thing is, the Truex is more matte than the Kyle. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but the Truex is more matte, and the Kyle's a little bit more glossy. I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but somehow have 2 Stanley cars now. The first one peg warmed, and I'm sure this one will too. I still don't get, why did they put Stanley so high up on the hood? It's not supposed to be that high up on the hood still, but whatever. Next up, we've got the other full-on paint scheme repeat, but this one is special because Lionel actually did go back and they fixed the color on the Fudge Brownie M&M's car. As you can see, it's the correct shade of purple, and it's metallic and sparkly now. Do I have? Yeah, here it is. Like I said, here's last year's diecast, and here's this year's. As you can see, a very big difference right there in colors. The color was off, and it wasn't metallic. Like, I don't know what happened, but Lionel, I will give you credit. You went back for this year's car, and you fixed the color. You listened to all the fans that complained about the color, and you went back and fixed it. I will definitely be buying the 124 of this year, and I will be dumping last year's 124. Because, boy, is this just so much better. Like, look at that beautiful metallic purple. The funny thing is, it's like, it wasn't even Lionel's fault. It was entirely Joe Gibbs' fault. They sent them the wrong color. Then even this year, apparently what Lionel was saying was that they contacted Gibbs because, you know, there was so much backlash to the color. And Gibbs' immediate response was like, oh, no, that's the right color. Keep using that. Luckily, they did something with Gibbs to actually get the real color. But, like, Gibbs, what are you on? Like, why do you want your car to be the wrong shade of color and not metallic? Like, come on. Like, this car was so beautiful on track, so I was so disappointed when that diecast came out last year that it was, like, the wrong shade of color. And the metallic. Like, the metallic bothered me more than the shade of color, because, you know, I love me some metallic cars, as you probably know by now. But they fixed this year, and luckily it is back in Authentics now. Cannot wait for the 124. Like I said, I will definitely be picking that up and getting rid of last year's 124. It's got Wawa on the back bumper. He only raced this at, what was it, Homestead this year, I think? He only raced it, like, once or twice the whole season this year. I don't think anyone really expected the car to come back, but I'm very glad it did now, so we get a more accurate diecast. Like I said, not a bad wave. A pretty solid choice of cars. You got a lot of different teams and drivers. Only disappointing thing is that there is no, you know, trucks or Xfinity cars in this wave. But, you know, a pretty solid selection of Cup cars. Really no primaries or anything, so that's always good. This probably is going to be one of the last waves we actually get in 2021. I'm sure they're going to keep the 2021 wave numbers going into 2022, but we might get a wave 9 in 2021 still, but I don't know. I mean, there's so many paint schemes that, you know, they're behind on this year, so there's plenty of different paint schemes they can choose for this season. And then, you know, depending on how long it takes for the next-gen diecast to come out, who knows how long it's going to be until we get 2022 diecast on the next-gen body in Authentics. I mean, Lionel on their forum said that they have, like, 16 or 17, like, next-gen paint schemes already, like, done, and they're just waiting on their final approvals to actually list for, like, pre-order, so I'm definitely interested to see how some of the cars look. Some of the cars, I think they're going to, you know, like the All-Star cars, just kind of try to just move the number and keep the regular paint scheme, and some of those are not going to look very good, but some of them that change might look fine. Like the M&M's cars will probably still look fine with the new number movement, and I'm so very curious to see what happens to Logano still. Like, they can't really keep the scallops the same, so it's going to be different in some way. So that will finally probably be the death of the scallops, sadly. Maybe they'll find a way to keep some sort of scallops. I don't know, but I feel like our beloved scallops will finally be dying. So that's going to be a shame. If they are actually dying, I'm probably going to finally do that video I talked about in the past where I'm going to, you know, grab all of the 124 scallop Shell Pennzoil cars and do a review on all of them at once. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that still because I can't actually fit, like, you know, like 12 cars into my light box here, but whatever, that's a video for another day if that actually happens. If you want this wave, it is the brand new release. You can get it right now. It's already showing up in stores. The Ross Chastain McDonald's is the liquid color. Remember, for all of your other diecast needs, you can go to CircleBDiecast.com. Use the code BWhack. You can get free shipping on any order over $20. So go check that out if you want anything. But I think it's all there is to say. This has been a review of the NASCAR Authentics Wave 8 for 2021. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.